Now that we've got index.html open inside our Web Design 1 folder, we're ready to go through and start putting content in. I could start it the traditional way, a way that some of you will have seen with straight open brackets HTML, end the bracket, and then going through and hand coding content in. But I'm actually wanting this document here to conform to international standards to make sure that I'm using strict HTML or XHTML to ensure the document is as rigorous as possible. I'm just going to copy and paste some code that I've already put in previously so that you don't have to painfully watch me type out each step of the way. This is one of the powers of Notepad++ in that it is able to differentiate between different types of text, so when you're actually error checking, you're able to go through and see where the separate categories are. Right away you can see where my open and end brackets are for my HTML. It sticks out a little bit better than it does in traditional Notepad. At the top here I've specified that the doc type is HTML, public HTML, and it conforms with W3C standards for XHTML at 1.0 strict. You don't really need to worry too much about this, and if you're working on this you can just copy and paste this initial document in, well, this initial text in, which will ensure that your document is strict when you go to verify it. At this stage here all we've got is HTML saying it's an HTML document and ending the HTML document. None of this actually shows up in our web page. At this stage here I've told the HTML document what doc type it is, and I want to view it and see what it actually looks like in the page. I'll click on this open file here just to have a look to see that my index.html is stored in Web Design 1, and it is. To confirm that, I'm going to have a look on the desktop, and here's my Web Design 1 folder, and inside that is index.html. When I open index.html, I'm taken to a blank web page with the location of where that web page is stored at the moment. Index.html inside Web Design 1, which is on my desktop. Yours should be stored in your H drive so that it doesn't delete the next time you open it. It is really important to think about file structure when you're making your web pages. A little bit of thought early on in the process will save an awful lot of grief later on in the process. The next thing to do is to put the head information inside our web page. Again, I'm just going to paste this content in, and what I'm going to have my CV looking like is a CV for Tim Berners-Lee. Tim Berners-Lee is credited with the invention of the internet, and what we're going to do is make a simple title page, a simple web page for Tim Berners-Lee. Again, once I save this and minimize it here, we can keep going into our Web Design 1 folder to check and see what's actually happening. At this point here, the only thing that's changed, our address still stays the same, but I've put our title in, which appears on the Windows tab at the top that says Tim Berners-Lee Curriculum Vitae. That's the only change we've made by simply putting the title in. I could make the title anything. It allows us to know what the page is on the tab in the browser that we're looking at. It's now time to start looking at putting the body text inside our HTML page. I'm going to go below the head of the document and paste in the next lines of code. They're just the body tags. I'm not going to go through and talk about the way to set these tags up because you can see them on the page here. But anything that's between this body tags are actually going to show up inside our web page. And once we've got these body tags, we're ready to start dividing our HTML page into the structure that we showed before in the concept design and publisher.